Good evening, this is Nuke Marine bringing you the second part of Remembering the Kana. In this case, it's Remembering the Katakana by James Hazig. In this book, so right now what we've done is we finished hiragana. So you should be able to go and write and recognize hiragana without too much of an issue. With just that, you can probably go on to study Japanese. Uh, but of course, what people find out is that, usually most college students, I guess they gloss over katakana quite a bit because it's not used too much in textbooks. But if you ever go to Japan or use Japanese resources, you'll find katakana is used quite a bit, and so it is very, very important that you learn this second form of writing. The way I would relate it to, imagine if you only understood cursive writing, but you didn't understood straight. Um, for example, let me go and bring it up real quick. Just imagine you could only recognize this letter, but you cannot recognize this letter, or you can recognize, for example, this letter, but this right here confuses you. In English, it would probably be you can get away with just knowing the A and the L long and the what they call the straight case. But of course, then we have the cursive writing, which is very important for handwritten documents, and you see it in certain fonts. And it's just a part of being able to read and write English, is understanding the difference between straight and cursive. So in the same case for hiragana katakana, you're going to need to know the difference between the two. And just like in here, this is pretty much, if you looked at it, this makes the alphabet pretty much like, instead of 26 characters, into what is about 108, 104, in addition to anything else like special characters, whatnot, exclamation point, multiplication sign, question mark, period, quotation marks. Even with all at sign, even with all this, you still got quite a few symbols in English. So don't let this get you down. We're just going to be teaching right now a variation of pronunciation in Japanese, and it should come to you. It should be pretty, I would think, actually easier, because we already got the pronunciation down. Now we're just going to teach other symbols that that represent this pronunciation. Some easier than others. Let me pause real quick and carry on. All right, so with this, what we're going to do is what's lesson 7 of the Remembering the Kana, but this will be lesson 1 of Remembering the Katakana. Pretty much what I'm going to do, what I'm going to use is write the symbol from katakana and give the pronunciation, and then give, if there's either some story or whatnot, to relate that kana, the hiragana, to the katakana, either the pronunciation or story or whatnot. And then same as before with katakana, I'll then also give a story. So let's start off. Let's do it real quick with the first thing we're going to work with. So we're going to get this character here. Now, this you remember is ri from the reaper. In fact, for this lesson anyway, what we're going to do is teach you katakana that is very similar in writing to its hiragana counterpart. So these lessons are going to go by very quickly. But anyway, what I'll be doing here is the same as here. I'll say the, and so I'd say what pronunciation for, in this case, deeper, and so it's not necessarily R, not necessarily L. So it's not re or li. It's a mixture of the two. So kind of like rolling the tongue. Ri. Next thing what I'm going to do is now we're going to show you what this looks like in katakana. So what I'll say is to do a quick downstroke, and then and it's more of a block letter style, or a straight, and then right here, the sickle, what we think of the sickle, finishes off, and that's ri. It looks very similar in this case to ri. Okay, so after I give you the hiragana, then the pronunciation, then I'll show you how to write the katakana in whatever way. Sometimes I'll even give a little story. After this, now what we do is finish off with give a word if need be. In this case, we only have ri, so we're going to leave it at that. So let's pause and we'll move on to the next character. And there we are. There we have his ri. It looks very similar to its hiragana counterpart. Next thing we're going to do is, if you think back, what we had were a few words. Now here we had the idea of stressing out a pronunciation. If you think of hiragana as being a, I, u, e, o, with our version of consonants, so anyway, ka, ki, ku, ke, ko, sa, shi, su, se, so, ta, chi, tu, se, so. If with that, what we have is, those are very, very small pronunciations. So ta, chi, su, te, to, na, ni, nu, ne, no. Then what we would do, so let's say we have na. we would stress out the pronunciation in the ah form by adding an ah to it. So this would be na. So if we had a ni, then we would stretch it out by adding the e character, ni. If we had the o, or u in this case, so we'll say nu, then what we do is we'd add the u symbol, so this would be nu. Then we would have ne, in this case name tag, but ne. And then what we would then do is add the e character here. So let's go ne. So ni, ne, both would have the e character added after it to stretch out the pronunciation. Finally, what we'd have is the no. Then we would stretch it out. Similar with the nu, we would have the u symbol after it. So this becomes no. So in all these cases, so in the case with the ah line, so na ka sa ta ka sa ta naha maya, it would be na sa ka ta. And then of course with the ni and the ne, it will be ni, ne, she, se, chi, che, te. All right. And then of course the nu and the no. All of this, all these right here, are going to be taken care of by this next character, what we call is the long mark. Here is the long mark, right there. So, all this is stretching out pronunciation of the kind of like what we think of as a vowel sound. So instead of the ni, it will be ni. Couple of our examples that we have. Li, as in lily. Li. And this is li. And this is what would be li, as in buddy li. So li. Li, li. Those are pronunciations. If this was a ra, it would be still again, this long mark is going to basically take care of all these right here. You don't have to remember anything, just use a long mark, stretches out the pronunciation of the katakana before it. Alright, so we'll stop there and go back to the next go on to the next character. Alright, so those are two symbols down. Let's go on to the next symbol. And in this case, remember this little character here. Now this is hey, as in haystack. So this hey, when written in katakana, is kind of complicated, so follow along with me, but it does look similar. So here's it in katakana. Okay, as you can tell, very distinct differences, and obviously I'm joking with you because there's no difference at all. Pretty much written the same way. Pretty simple characters. So hey, as in haystack. So let's do a word here real quick. And this is heady. Heady, as in helicopter. By the way, let me, just like I said, lady and li is li. All of these katakana words are almost legitimate, for most of them are legitimate English words. So when I tell you this, these can actually be studied just as they are. These are how the Japanese pronounce either the foreign loan words. And a lot of the foreign loan words are coming from from English, but there will be from some other languages. But in all these cases, they normally write them out in katakana. So at least in this case, you actually are learning legitimate Japanese words. They just happen to be words that you're familiar with for the most case. A couple of exceptions, but don't worry, you can get along with it. Now, this is hey, just to help you, and we'll be going on to the voice in a bit later. But for right now, we'll leave it right there. Hey, heady. Alright, so there's our three characters. Before we move on, let's go and introduce a couple of things, and this could be covered in the next lesson, but let's do it right here. So we had the ri, long mark, and the he. So he, ri. What we're going to do now is go a little further down. You'll probably remember this. If we had hey, this then becomes be, as in baby. Then that's the voice mark. Going to work the same way here. And the same thing is we have the voice mark, then we have this little thing here, the plosive. So that becomes hey, becomes be, the hey becomes pay, as in payday. So just as we had heady, then we would have Betty. Or right here, if we did the plosive, it would become petty. So be, pay, petty. All right, same as before. So I'm not going to work too much on the pronunciations, but we are going to, from there, go on to the next character. Now, this one again, very simple, looks very similar to its hiragana counterpart. Here's a hiragana. So that's ka, the Boston ka fight, ka, ka, ka. So in this case, so we're writing it in katakana again. Think of it more as block letters. So first stroke is going to be straight across, come down, slight hook to it. So that's all one stroke. Second one is going to be come down, slight hook to it, then the cut, almost like the creating the little dagger or the flexible little dagger that we say was the antenna whip or whatnot. And we're not, that third stroke we're going to ignore. So this is only a two-stroke character, the body and then the slice across, creating the little flexible dagger. So ka. Some words that use this. Kari, kari, most likely California. Could be something a bit different. And then this one right here, ka. And that's car. That's ka, which is for the English word car. Some other practice here, if we did this can be voice. So kari becomes ngari, and car becomes ga. Ka, ga. And with that, we're done with that character, and we'll move on. Alright, 4 characters down. Again, this lesson will be going very quickly because we're not having to stress too much about pronunciation. And again, most of these characters at least look like what we've already learned up to this point. So if you're stepping into learning katakana first, this lessons might be really difficult. Go back and learn hiragana, then move on to these lessons if you wish to use this Heizig method as taught. So here we have is ri, long mark, he, and ka. Next up is, see if you remember this character. So this was ki. In this case, it could have been, I think I changed the story to be lucky, which is the child was lucky Solomon didn't cut him in half, because I changed the story for Sa. But anyway, remember these first thing, the stroke here, line down. Instead of this being, or right here, this was I kind of described as the sword, because instead of having the single handle for the dagger, when the dagger from Sa, we had the double handle, so we'd say for 2 hands. And that if you needed 2 hands for a dagger, it's actually too big. It can't be a dagger, it's more of a sword. Well, anyway, on this one, we're going to concentrate as that character there. We're going to draw 2 strokes, almost like the number, if you know katakana, almost like the number for 2. In fact, let me go back real quick. Okay, so that's the first stroke. Here would be the second stroke, and then the third stroke. Finish it off. We're going to do this. Almost looks like a not equal sign, if you would. And that's it. It looks very similar to the ki character. But this is katakana ki. We're just not doing that 4th stroke. Now, for ki, words that use ki. And as I write it out, try to guess the pronunciation. So that's ki. And if you want to guess what that is, it's car key, as in, well, key as in key to a house. Next character, or next word. I think a guy gave it away, but we'll let you go for it. Ka key. Ka key. So car key. Car key. Ka key. Ka key. And just get some voice. This can be voice, so if ki becomes gi, so these aren't real words, but ga gi. Gi, ga gi. There's your pronunciation. These are not real words as far as I know. So we'll pause there and go on to the next character. Alright, 5 characters. Now the next character, what we're going to go with. Now I'm going to write both of them real quick. So that's so, but just as that's the 7 dwarves, and so it's Snow White from the 7 dwarves sewing the letter Te into the one of the dwarf's shirts. Then we have sew here, which is the idea of the using a puppy tail and a cane to sew the letter T. All right, we're going to concentrate on is this character here, this sew. And what we're going to do is concentrate on the first two strokes. So we're going to make these first two strokes a little bigger. So what we're going to do is come down, sew, and you can see that's the first two strokes. Now, this character, along with three others, are going to start giving issues. So what can help you remember about writing this character? Think of this, look at this real quick. Think of two downward strokes, a downward short stroke and a downward long stroke. Okay? All we're doing is angling those two together. All right? So downward short stroke, downward long stroke, and then we just angle them together. Come right there, right here. So we start at the top, work our way down. Almost like we're doing a letter V, but we're not connecting the characters like that. So that becomes soul. Soul. Some words that words that use this character. And I apologize. Okay, let's say. Sorry. And another character. All right, and this one I'm going to cheat a bit. I'm not going to show you what I'm going to do it partially in katakana and part in hiragana. Sausage, 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 sausage. Reason why I wrote that is again, Hazy gave it as a sample word. I'm giving it to you as he gave it to you. But since we didn't teach say or she yet in katakana, I'm not going to write it out for you just yet. But again, this can later on become a legitimate word to practice with. So that's our, I think, our sixth character. We'll go on and we're almost done. This is going by fast, isn't it? Alright, so we're up to our sixth character so far. Ri, he, ka, so. And so can be voice, so that becomes zo. If it comes up in other words, I'll hopefully stretch it out for practice again. But and there I'm showing is just about how this actually two strokes that are slanted toward each other. And that little thing has actually helped me when it came to distinguishing it between other characters. And also for writing purposes. Next character we're going to work with. I kind of wrote it before, but I'm going to write it out again. And slightly upward stroke. And if you remember this is the character say. Say as in seance, or say, how's it going? Say. For this, what I'm going to do is this character is going to be repeated a bit. What we're going to do is, not exactly sure. I think it was like a hand on the hip, what I sort of called it, which is slightly upward stroke, slightly upper stroke, and then the. So the way I would look at it is like imagine this was a hand right here on somebody's hip. So there's somebody's hip, there's the legs and whatnot. Don't read too much into it, I'm not an artist. But anyway, hand on the hip. That's sort of how I looked at it. Hand on the hip. Slightly upward with a little downward slant coming off. So for say, that's the first stroke. So kind of draw up, come down. Say. Then what we're going to do is do this. That's the combination of the first and second stroke into one. Then what we're going to do is finish it off with what we would think of as in L or whatnot, or what I would say is a club foot. When we get, reason why I say club foot, if you when you ever get to the kanji series, what I would say is inside when you learn the character for 4, you learn these two strokes here as human legs, and this right here would be the peg leg, which we'll be learning in a little bit, and then this right here, what I like to call is the club foot. So 2 human legs, this happens to be a peg leg and club foot. So that's what we have here. So we have what I call like the hand on the hip, a little bent arm, hand on the hip, and then right here would be what would be called the club foot, and that would be say. Say. A word that uses it. Say. Di. Ka. Serika. Celica. So this is a car, I think that's a car brand. I'm guessing here, but so the Celica car brand, but Serika. 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 Now, this can be voiced. So say, If I did that, now the se becomes ze, as in zany, or yeah, ze is in zany. So zeriga, zeriga. And with that, we're done. We got a couple more characters. Finish up this lesson. All right, so with that, we got ri, he, ka, ki, so, and se. Next character is going to be a little bit longer in the lesson because of the secondary part of it. And if you remember from katakana, you're gonna, or from hiragana, you're gonna understand why. So here's the. That was the ya. Just remembered about the ya, the yard, the beckoning the puppy over to take the tail and stick it on a, put it on a stick for drawing kanji characters. So for ya, similar with sei, these first two strokes are going to be merged into one. In fact, one of them is dropped altogether. So it's going to be like the hand, what I call the hand on the hip. So the bent elbow, hand on the hip. So kind of going up right here. So that would be the first stroke, and then the second stroke, similar like the third stroke of ya. So right there, and it again looks very similar to the character ya. Just right there, what I call the hand on the hip. Words that use this. A word or example word that uses yi, ya, ka, dia ka, dia ka, real car, or rear car, sorry, dia ka, the rear car, maybe at a train or something. Now, now that would be on that part of that. Now, what I would like to do is up here, and in fact, I'll teach the lesson. Let me pause it and teach the lesson as such. Okay, if you remember back to hiragana and kata from hiragana, is that there was the ya, yi, yu, and with or ya, yu, yo, and with those they can be merged. It was just written a little smaller right next to a certain hiragana, and it would then change the pronunciation slightly. It'd become the kyo, Tokyo. Instead of kiyo, it'd be kyo. So in this case, what's going to happen is down here, anything on what I call the E line. So ki, gi, shi, G, or Z in this case, T, or chi, he, B, P, mi, ri. It could be anything that's ya, the u, or the yo. We can use a smaller version of the ya, yu, yo, and put it beside that and create a pronunciation, same as before. So what I'm going to do is introduce it to all these characters just once, and then if we get a chance, anytime a new words come up, if it's not used as a sample, I'll try to force the sample in there. So here we have is, so again, it's not ri ya, it's ya. Hey is not used, ka is not used. Ki, though, since that's a key, we'll do that. Kya, this could be voiced. So now it's set giyat gya. Go down, and looks like those are the only two examples we have to worry about at the moment. And again, as we start getting other characters that can use the ya, you, or yo, again, I'll introduce that pronunciation for you, just for a quick refresher course if need be. And again, then of any sample words, try to force that example into it. Now, with that done, let's carry on for the next character. The next character is the last one for this lesson. Again, it's one of those, I don't think this looks similar, but what's happening is going to use a couple of the strokes from it. And it could have been used at a different lesson, but we'll work with it from here. Now, what we have is this right here. If you remember, this is na, which I think what I had was a knife and the puppy tail shooting out boomerangs. I think, I don't know if I told you the story, but what one other student thought was na as in not nice. As in it's not nice, you take a dagger and cut the tails off puppies and tie them to boomerangs. Probably thinking back to the story for yo. So I kind of like that. So na, not nice, not nice. Now what we're going to do for the na katakana is we're going to basically concentrate on this right there. So what we're going to do is there's the first stroke, which is kind of like the long mark, and then we're going to add is almost like if you looked at ri, it's that second stroke of ri is what we're doing here. So that would be the na. And if it'll help you, just for proportion's sake, if you think of it, think of a big oval. Okay, and what we're going to do is, we're worried about is that one section of the oval, that one right here, kind of like how it's drawn or whatnot. So that's what we're doing, is you're doing the long mark and then doing the what's going to be called like the I think quarter oval or whatnot. So like the re, there's the na. Some words that use this. Karina. Karina. And that's a word for Karina. Not sure what that is. And then I believe it's a name. Karina. Karina. And Ri. Na. Lina. Or Lina. This is a Japanese pronunciation for Lina. Uh, if we wanted to do examples here. Gariana. Gariana. I don't know what that would be. Or Diana. Diana. All right. With that, we are kind of finished. So let me pause and do the conclusion. All right. That concludes lesson 7, or lesson 7 of remembering the kana, and lesson 1 of remembering the katakana. So there was a quick review. We had the ri, which you can also combine with the ya. So ya, the long march, which stretches out of pronunciation. The he, which can be also pronounced voice with be or plosive with pe. You had ga, which can also become ga. Ki, which also becomes gi, and can be merged with the ya sound, so it becomes ga. So, se, ya, and na. And with that, here we have is the, what I like to call the matrix, if you would, the kana matrix. And we're about 1/6, we are 1/6 of the way done. Give me about 5 more lessons or 2.5 more hours and we will be complete. In fact, just to keep the momentum going, I'm going to go and start recording on lesson number 8 right after this. So thank you for your time. See you back in the next lesson, hopefully tomorrow if you're timing it right.